All right, I guess that's what I get for not testing the stream. So it looks like the original recording stopped recording before I even left the airport, which means y'all missed out on our landing at the lake. It's quite beautiful. We had some light rain showers as we experienced our first water landing in this aircraft. So yeah, we're just currently, I'd say about maybe 8 miles, 5 to 8 miles south of our origin airport. And we're going to go ahead with the second phase of today's test flight, and that is completing our flight by landing on the water just at the foot of the runway that we took off from, where we'll try and successfully dock the aircraft, at least in the vicinity of the pier. I hope the thing's recording now, and that you guys will at least be able to enjoy our landing. Let me just check the volume levels here. I'll be right back. Right, so it sounded like the engine is a little bit soft, so I turned up the game volume a little bit. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Right, so let's disengage the autopilot and make our way down to our destination, which is just off to the left there. So as mentioned before, when the stream stopped recording, if it looks like I'm being pushed around here by the weather, it's because I have the turbulence set to realistic. As per some real life pilots, they feel like the turbulence is a little bit exaggerated in the game, so take what you see with a pinch of salt, as always. So there's the airport there in the distance. Not sure if you guys can see my mouse, but it's out there, which means the pier is about over there somewhere. And the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, so we're going to have to make a U-turn once we're on the water to return to the dock. Let's see if we can actually make announcements just to keep it simple, as if we are going to land on the runway. We're currently about east of the field, so up in the traffic, Caravan, Lima, November, Sierra, Tango, Papa is less than a mile east of the field, inbound for an overhead join to land runway 12, currently at 500 feet up in the traffic. Okay, so we're just basically going to do like an improvised procedure turn. Let's go with flaps 10. And let's reset the altimeter here so it stops shouting at us. So we're overhead the airfield now. Flap set to about 10. We're going to put on the landing lights just for extra visibility. I'm going to keep the speed up so we don't stall during the turn. We want to give ourselves as much room to do the turn as possible, so we're going to hug this side of the valley, keeping in mind that we might experience some up or down drops here as we get close to the ridge. Alright, we don't want to get too close, and we also don't want to be too slow drops, or at least escape them. Alright, speed's good as we do this steep-ish turn to the left. Getting some rain again. Go ahead and bring out the inertial separator before we forget to do so. The wheels are still up for the water landing. And we're going to say, other than traffic, Caravan, Lima, November, Sierra Tango, Papa is final, runway 12, full stop landing, other than traffic. Alright, so we're lying a little bit. We're not actually going to land on the runway. To pretend that we are, so that we can set ourselves up for the landing just next to the pier. So again, as you would have missed in the first stream that stopped recording before takeoff, you can see this runway has quite a significant displaced threshold.
Check.
Because there's a road that runs right across it. Quite interesting. I'm assuming in real life they can close the road, so you can use the full length if you need to for takeoff, but this is how we would be landing if we were to land on the runway. Except we're not going to land on the runway, obviously. Alright, let's start slowing down here. Bring the prop lever full forward. Flaps 20. Flaps 30. Now we're going to land just offset to the right here because that's the direction that the wind is blowing in. So clear those trees. Let's land a little bit more into the wind. I'm assuming, I'm assuming the weather report said it's coming from this direction. Let's go make sure we got a decent angle of attack here. And we're down. Flaps up. I don't know why she likes to bounce around like this, but anyways, there she is. We're going to just use the reverse thrust here. And we got some nice some lake spray here from reverse thrust, which is really cool. Nice touch. That's the water rudder. We go into the water. I think we've got enough room to make a right-hand turn here. Flaps are up. Wind is going to be coming from our right, but I don't know. As with the other lake, we're leaning to the left here. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to bring the ailerons for a full left bank setting. Beautiful though. But yeah, we still ended up quite far from the pier, the dock. There they are. It's by the building, so we need to be aiming for. And we're gonna pull back on the. Okay, let's first get the water rudders up here. We're gonna be doing a rapid taxi. So taxiing on the step, which essentially is to keep the nose as basically you're. It's like a boat, right? A speedboat. I'll explain it later. I need to concentrate. Alright, start slowing down again. And the water rudder can come back out. Now I need to kind of figure out how this dock is working. I think we'll park on that side. Why does it feel like are they down now? Oh, they're down now, my bad. Alright, so I'm gonna try and park on that side of the dock. I don't know, is there any other place for us to go? Oh, there's like a little slipway for us. I wonder if we can. Probably gonna mess this up. I've got no way to control the aircraft otherwise. Oh, we're getting really shallow. Up, yeah, we ran aground. Someone's gonna have to get out and drag us in. Okie dokie. So this is as good as it's gonna get, I feel. We can bring this guy in. Bring you to idle. You to low. And we can go ahead and turn off the landing lights, strobe lights. And make sure this guy goes to standby. I reckon we can go ahead and turn you off. And everything else can come off. Get the heating off here. That's off. All of our heating is off. Alright. Radio's coming off. And we can shut down the aircraft now. Feather the prop. And cut the fuel. Lovely sounds. I love the sounds of this aircraft. And oh, you're supposed to turn the fuel pump off. Okay, I reckon that's it. We can go ahead and turn the rest of the power off. I don't know if it's going to glitch the game if I jump out now. Let's see what happens. Let's bring the water right up here as well. Okay. Jumping out. Oh, we're walking in the water. And actually, you can hear the footprints splashing. Dude, for a flight simulator, that is next level. Ah, the amount of freedom now that you have with this flight simulator to walk around and explore, it's just so cool. And apparently there's an add-on that allows you to fish. I am seriously considering it. I know nothing about fishing, but dude, just imagine flying after a hard day's work in reality to a nice flight like this and just popping off to some remote lake and just casting a line with these ambient sounds. I mean, come on. All right, well, with that, we'll end the stream, what's left of it. I hope it continued to record, unlike the first attempt. That was the BlackSquare Cessna 208 Caravan, the amphibious version. So like I said in the beginning, I'm intending to do some review videos that are a little bit more concise, better edited, instead of just blundering through a flight from start to finish. But until I can get myself to figure out how to edit videos, this is how it's going to be for now. So for those that did stick to the very end of the video, thank you very much. I will sign off with the final thoughts here, and I'll start with saying that I generally rate aircraft based on how they look, how they sound, and how they feel. So based on that, what's there to say about this aircraft? So she looks fantastic. I don't think I can fault her on anything external or internal. If we jump back inside the aircraft here, you can see, I mean, the plastic, or whatever the material is that they use, it's that coarse plastic material, right? I mean, that it looks like that, right? It's really good. I mean, you're not going to get things that are perfectly round And obviously if you zoom in super close, things are going to start looking blurry. That's perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable. Personally, I'm not much of a stickler. There's a little bit of artifact over there, but I'm not much of a stickler when it comes to the inside the cabin of an aircraft, because we spend most of our time up front. And as long as the front looks good, I'm happy. If I can compare it to the Airbus A350 by any builds, a lot of people have issue with the fact that there's no cabin in that aircraft, but the fact that they modeled just a couple of windows here and there so that you can put up a wing view with a window in frame, that's all I need. That was a very clever thing to do to save on frame rates and improve performance. So if there's just a basic representation of a cabin, I don't mind. So with that out of the way, I think this interior is really good. Especially the leather looks leather, the plastic looks plastic. Looks great. Proportions look good. I don't know what else there is to say. I'm happy with how she looks, especially on the front here where it matters. Texturing with some weathering here, it's excellent, man. I mean, there's nothing more. Even the water rudder is animated in such a way that you have a little catch here that you need to click and hold in order for it to move. I mean, he didn't have to do that, and he did. You've got sounds for... All right, before we get to the sound. So that checks the box in the looks department, right? She looks great. The proportions all look like they should. This looks, for all intents and purposes, like a real Cessna Caravan, at least from the perspective of someone that isn't a pilot, but someone that has at least 20 years of simulation behind him. Does she sound good? Yeah, I'd say so. I recently watched a video of someone flying a Caravan. Would I say it's one-to-one? No, but I mean, you can't expect that to be the case in Flight Simulator, especially if you want sounds to realistically react to your control inputs. As I understand it, for that to be a thing in a Flight Simulator, you know, I think there's layering and all sorts of other little magic tricks that have to be implemented to allow the aircraft sound to react more organically to what you're doing in the sim, as opposed to just playing a stock recording from the real aircraft. So for that reason, you have to deal with that trade-off if you want basically an aircraft that's just blaring a real recording and not really reacting to what you're doing, versus something that's going to react more realistically, more organically to what you are doing in the simulator at any given moment. But with that said, it sounds excellent. Startup sounds are great. Shutdown sounds are really satisfying for me. I love satisfying shutdown sounds at the end of a flight. Really, you know, puts a cherry on top of the cake for me as we wind down a flight. So yeah, she sounds great. And does she feel good? I'd say she feels great as well. Again, not a real pilot, but... And also, I do use force feedback control, so it does make flying even really poorly modeled aircraft feel realistic. But from that perspective, I can say that, yeah, she feels great. She reacts really nice, relatively stable in the air. You'd expect an aircraft like this to be a little bit wishy-washy in the air because of these massive floats that are anything but aerodynamic. That's part of the reason why, if not the only reason why, they added these vertical fins to the horizontal stabilizer, just to give it that extra little bit of stability to compensate for these floats underneath the aircraft that take up a considerable amount of the aircraft sort of profile, aerodynamic profile, if I could put it that way. So yeah, in summary, she looks great, she sounds great, she feels great. I would say this is probably an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me. 100% recommend anyone that loves general aviation flying, anyone that loves turboprops. So I guess I should probably make a mention about the turboprop simulation. Sorry for blabbing, but I hope that this is at least providing some value to those hardcore simmers out there like me that are thinking about getting this plane. Turboprops, I love turboprops, and it's always been a point of frustration for me in sims, especially Microsoft Flight Simulator, as they traditionally were never really able to simulate turboprop functionality. I'm referring more specifically to being able to finely control the engine in the beta range, in addition to a reverse thrust. BlackSquare has just perfectly found a way, in my opinion, to handle that, and that is putting everything on a single axis, right? I'm not sure if you're actually able to separate it or isolate it from a single axis, but default, his aircraft tend to work like this, where you have just above idle a little dead zone here, a little dead spot, where the throttle locks into the idle position. And it gives that nice little audible click, so you don't even have to keep an eye on it to know that it went into what position it's in, right? So now I know you can hear it's moving. There, she's in the idle position. And then just bringing it further down, and you've got your beta range here. And then I've got even further down the F2 button simulated or triggered by placing my Honeycomb Bravo into the reverse detent, and it will bring it down fully into reverse. I think this is very elegantly done. It allows for such a wonderful taxiing experience, which previously it was a nightmare to taxi turboprops in Flight Simulator. Now, a pleasure. She handles really well on the ground. I feel like, and it's probably realistic in that sense, she takes a little bit more power to taxi than the standard Caravan. I'd imagine that's probably because we've got these huge floats underneath us. So even there is a difference, a noticeable difference between the non-amphibious version and this one as far as ground handling is concerned. So the developer really went all out with this one. As always, he knocks each of his aircraft out of the park, in my opinion. And this one, like I said, is no different. So for those that were in doubt, I would say, at the very least, you probably won't regret it, in my opinion. So that's it. I hope this video and all this rambling provided some value to those that are really on the fence about this one. And I hope to catch you in the next one. In fact, the next one I'm planning to be the TriStar from AnyBuilds. Although I'm still trying to figure out, there is an issue with the aircraft. The engines keep shutting down when I go to idle. I'm not sure what that is about. Until I got that figured out, yeah, watch this space. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.